friends, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Useless Information Podcast. Of course, I am Dick, and with me, as always, is my great friend, probably 30 years, something like that, from the Conference Call Podcast, my boy Danny B. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother? And welcome everybody out there to another show. Sorry. We're trying to get this phlegm out of our throats before this podcast started, and I'm failing right now.
Man, fuck wintertime, dude. Fuck wintertime.
I love it. I mean, compared to part where you're at, like it's just starting to get really like chilly with the breeze, and it's just perfect. Like this is why I moved to the Central Coast so I can get away from the heat.
Right.
You know,
right.
when I live 15 minutes away from the ocean, and it's been like 90 plus degrees, and I go, this is what I moved away from. Yeah. And I have no central air out, or I have no AC units. I have nothing, dude. So it's like relying on fans and just and hope.
Right. I'm looking at snow-capped mountains right now, so it's like
it's so beautiful.
It's beautiful, dude, but it's cold as shit. So it's already. So I'm not ready for winter. I'm not ready for the snow on the ground. Trying to drive in that shit. So. But,
it's so crazy how we get acclimated so quick to the weather too, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's beautiful out here, though. I love looking at these mountains. So I always do the podcast. Like I do mine. I do the one with you. Like looking out the window at this beautiful landscape. It's amazing. It just puts me in a mood. So I love it. I'm just cold. I'm complaining. I'm cold.
Dude, so before we end this podcast, we'll take a picture of our scenery while we're doing podcasting, and you're going to see a dramatic difference, and I'm going to keep everything as raw as possible.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because I have a dim ass light. I have the light bulb that you grew up on back in the 80s and 90s, like the dimmest light in my studio. I'm like, I am old, and I'm wearing my new glasses. Like, dude, it's gonna be so funny.
Yeah, we old as shit, bro. Yeah,
yes, we are.
I feel that.
But not as old as these subjects that we're going to be talking about.
Right, exactly.
Most of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, mine's about 1985 is what I'm talking. So it's not too old, but it sounds like what you were telling me earlier. You're just going to be way fucking older than that.
Yeah. So you want to go first, or you want me to go first, bud?
No, I want you to go first. I'm interested.
Okay. So I'm going to give like an honorable mention because I kind of looked into this subject prior to this in particular one, and I thought the subject that I chose was, I think, a little bit more compelling. But honorable mention, November 1st, 1952, we did a full-scale test on a thermonuclear bomb in the Marshall Islands called Operation Ivy Mike.
Right.
Wow. Dude, like I'm on this page right now, kind of like briefly going over things because I didn't want to like get particularly into this, and just seeing the explosion, man, it's so crazy that we built something that can do so much damage. It's like we took regular bombs and like through warfare and air bombing people to like, we're just going to drop one and take out a whole city.
Yeah.
It's like you guys just went from like 0 to 100 so quick. You know, it was nuts. And I didn't want to get so much into this topic because I have a big fear of this stuff because I'm like so close to a base. I'm by SpaceX out here in Vandenberg, so I'm like super close. So if they decide to hit key points, I'm like, I have no shot. Like no mountain saving me from nothing.
Yeah.
So
and
I've had like. Man. And just thinking about it, like I remember when we were having like big issues with North Korea years ago and during the Trump era, and I was always seeing these nuclear posts being brought up on like news broadcasts and stuff like that. And I would have these nightmares of like running away from it, and I would wake up in like a huge sweat, and it's like, nah, I'm not going to not get into this because I know I'm going to have a nightmare tonight. So,
right.
And it's something that's like, what really sucks is that we are so close to that and we don't talk about it. You know, we are so close to World War III where we can drop one of these bombs on either one of these other adversaries and then you may not hear from one of us.
Yeah, it's just crazy, like how much power a nuclear bomb has, and there's so many of them out there. You piss one person off, and then, I mean, it could go from both sides, launching here, launching there, and then the world's over. It's that fast. People have their fingers on the button,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. Like, it's insane.
It
And
really takes, like, I was talking to somebody about like Russia, and they go like, man, they were just talking like shit about Vladimir Putin. And I go, you know what? I'll tell you this right now. It takes a really strong person not to touch that fucking button
yeah,
when you have so much power, right then and there. And you can just, and all the trash talking that's been going on through all these people, and it's just like political jabs. These guys have gotten so far up into this ranking where it's like, this doesn't bother me,
yeah,
even this war that Russia, is with Ukraine, they can just really kind of end it with a little tiny bloop and call it good. They really could.
Really.
And the fact that neither one of us or any other country that has this isn't just like defeating their enemies and taking over, it's like, it's crazy. That's really nuts.
Yeah.
Because, it's a really crazy subject. And like I said, we're so close to that, and I didn't want to like really bring it up, especially with like the elections happening in 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
But everybody do choose wisely. I hope everybody does go vote.
Yeah.
Whomever you guys are going to vote for, just go out there and do it so your voice is heard.
Yeah, I voted for Fred Durst. So
yeah, dude, I saw that post and I just died, man. I died.
He's gonna do it all for the nookie, bro. So I'm down, dude. Let's vote for Fred Durst.
They're back in the studio, man. I'm pretty excited about their new stuff, man. So
yeah, definitely.
And it's crazy,
definitely.
like they're more popular now and not being like advertised ever. And they're more popular now than ever, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's by design. They don't want that. So, they've never really wanted that, like, where we got to go spend all this money on advertising. It's just, hey, you like our music or you don't. You like us or you don't. And we don't give a shit. And they've always been that way. And so that's really why I've always limped with the biscuit. I always loved the biscuit. So hell yeah.
Okay. So let me get my page up, get that page out of my way, out of my face. Okay. Please, so everybody, November 1st, this dates back to 1512, where Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling painting opened to the public.
Oof.
And when I looked into this, I was like blown away by a lot of things that was going on. First off, I mean, I'll get into details about it, but he was born March 6, 1475, was a famous Italian painter. I didn't know he was a sculptor. Actually, I knew he was a sculptor because of the sculptor David, but I didn't know he was a poet. And it was during, they called it the High Renaissance era. And if you didn't know what the Renaissance era was, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just like we all dress fancy and shit, and all you saw was like beautiful castles. Like you didn't see any slum nothings. You know?
Yeah.
But it is, through the art history, it is defined as the time where the most famous pieces of art, literature, anything you can think of with famous, contributors to that were brought up in this era. So, talking about like Raphael, Michelangelo, you can go down the list. It's all between that 1505 to like 1525 era, 1530. Some say it was a little bit earlier, but some say it pushes all the way to the to 1530, which I thought was crazy because there's two different types. Some say it was like 1490 to like 1505, and then some say they push it all the way to the 30. And which was like, all right, when did it stop?
Yeah.
Apparently it stopped when when Rome got sacked. So it's like they took everything, destroyed it, and it's like, I'm not going to keep making this shit anymore, so we're good. It's like, what are we going to make it for? So going into this, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel is 9 huge panels, which they say has 300 individual like characters or figures in these 9 panels. Not like 300 in each individual one, but 300 spread out. And the chapel is humongous. Like these panels are ginormous. So what he had to do he was painting this from 1508 to 1512, and he had to do it on his back on a 60-foot scaffold back in the 1500s. And we're probably like, those scaffolds are probably all fucked up. I'm like, no, he's painting in a chapel. It's like they made pyramids way before Christ, people. It's like so don't think that his scaffold was like all reeky dig and people were holding it down like a safety guy, like, we got you, Michelangelo, you won't fall.
This guy's holding it up like, we got you. Yeah.
But just imagine painting like a whole football field, like with someone like suspending you, or even on I don't know how to even describe it, dude. It's like to be on your back to do something like he did. I mean, the most iconic photo or picture out of that whole thing was what was it called? What is it called? I have it right here. My eyes are terrible even with me these glasses on. The creation of David, or the creation of Adam. There it is. The creation of Adam is where God is pointing his finger and Adam's pointing at the same time. You know, they're almost like touching one another. It was the first, it was the first ET moment. You know, they stole that from that creation. But, so the 9 panels were all 300 figures of historical, like biblical events, like throughout the world, what people has described through their, you know, their culture. And he put that up in 9 panels and took him 4 fucking years to paint that. That's crazy to even think that's even possible for one person to do it. So November 1st, 1512, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel opens to the public and is still available to see now.
Yeah, it's such an amazing work of art. You know,
it's incredible.
I've seen like so many just different like videos about how it was done and stuff like that. It's incredible, dude. It's crazy how good it is. And
the fact that you're dedicated, someone's that dedicated to his art to do that. I was like, wow. I mean, it's something. It's not one of those things that I need to go see before, you know, my life passes, but it's definitely something when you look into the history, it's like, wow, someone did that, you know, and they did that when we're going on, what year? We're like, what, 500 years ago? Over 500 years ago, he did that, and it's still up there, and it's still like magnificent. I don't know if it's like preserved or if they do something to it. I'm sure they don't touch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they restored it. I don't know how long ago it was. I want to say it was in the 90s, where they got up there and they kind of just like made sure it looked really good, you know, like they do with paintings. I believe they went up there and just kind of like cleaned it basically to make it look better. But they got to do that to preserve it, to make sure it doesn't get fucked up.
Weathered and stuff, yeah. Yeah,
but still, it's like you said, like 500 plus years old. It's like, and it still looks amazing, and it will forever. I mean, that's just something that's going to be there for our kids and our kids to see, and it's just an amazing work of art.
You know, I'm not trying to dump on people that have their feelings about certain like companies or groups or whatever the case may be, but I was looking into these panels and I was like, what if like some activists just threw like a water balloon full of like paint or mustard up into that shit? It's like, stop the oil, the oil.
Fuck those people.
It's like why wasn't anybody freaking out about this shit? Like, I was losing my mind every time I saw something posted on social media. I'm like, why aren't these people being like, I hate to say it, but like stoned by all these people in this museum? I'm like, this is a work of art. Like, this is crazy to think that this is happening. So I thought about that. I thought I'd bring it up because could you imagine if someone just did that in the Sistine Chapel? I was like, oh boy.
Started shooting paintballs.
Or went to
paintballs at it.
Or went to his sculpture of David in Vatican City and just threw some paint on it. Oh my goodness gracious. Those people aren't leaving that place, you know?
No, fuck that, dude. I'm sick of that kind of bullshit, dude. Like, come on, don't.
It's just wild, man.
Protest the way you protest, but don't ruin these works of art that, you know, mean so much to so many people. Like, that's just dumb.
Yeah, you didn't have to worry about this shit.
Stupid.
You didn't have to worry about this pollution and oil shit 500 years ago. Trust me, they have other stuff to be worried about, like plagues and shit.
Plagues and diseases. And
getting raided by someone that just wanted to take you over just for the hell of it, you know? It's like, other stuff to worry about.
Yeah, definitely. That's just dumb.
Sorry, go ahead, brother.
Oh, is it my turn?
Gosh.
Oh man, dude.
It's just we've gone through so. I tell my daughter, who's going to be 18 in 2 years, it's so crazy. I
Jesus,
go,
really?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
In 2026, she's going to be 18, dude.
Jeez, okay.
So I tell them, like, you have seen some shit in your small period of life, and I'm sad for you. I'm like, I'm really sad for you, and I hope by the time you become an adult and you actually go out on your own that you are able to do that, because right now no one can.
Yeah,
it's like no one can do it. So I hope all this gets like kind of figured out in a couple years, so my daughter doesn't have a rough time being an adult. And she's like, fuck this, I'm gonna stay with my parents forever, which I won't care. Like, she could always stay with me, but it's like I don't want her to be daunted by life either, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's getting more and more difficult, and that's really sad. I feel bad for the kids.
Like, why are my cup of noodles $10 for a box of them? I'm like, I have no idea. It should never be that expensive.
I know. Yeah, I hear that every day at work. So I work in a grocery store, and it's like, why are eggs $5 now? Like, people yelling at me is like, I don't make the damn prices.
Right, yeah, right. You're all sticking. You're like, why are you doing that? I'm like, oh, I'm just randomly charging you guys whatever I feel like today.
Yeah, I get to make a profit off of this. So now they're $100. So fuck you. No,
I always think about that when I go to gas stations one morning, because I always get gas early in the morning when I go to work, and one day it'll be like $5 at a certain price, and then the next day it'll be like 3 or 4 cents, more expensive. I'm like, why are you guys doing this? Yeah. I'm like, why can't you just keep us happy?
Yeah,
like make it lower. Like never go, just keep it, there. So I don't know. I obviously there's probably some rules to it and things behind it. I get that, but you never think about that as a consumer. You're just like, those fuckers are trying to rip us off.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I worked at the dairy, we had to change the prices, and we didn't know what the prices were going to be. But the boss would come in and say, "Hey, we need to go change the sign. We just got our gas." Like, basically get a fill up, and he'd see how much it was, and then he'd do the math, and he'd be like, oh, we got to change our price. But a lot of times too, it has to do with like competition, because the Chevron over here will change their price, and then the Shell will change their price, and whether up or down. And a lot of times if they're close to each other, they'll communicate with each other. They're talking to each other. I looked into this a while back because I was curious too. And then it's basically like based on, profit margin. They don't make anything on gas, maybe 1 cent, 2 cents per gallon. But
it's everything inside the store.
They bring people in so they can come in and get their other stuff that's high margin. But that's where they go with the prices, is like, what's the guy down the street doing? And, with like the dairy, the Saddleback would change their price, and then, the boss would come in and say, oh, Saddleback's down to this much, so we got to go down to that much. We got to keep competitive with them. And that's just kind of how it works. It's all competition. But gas is not high profit margin at all. They don't make any money on it. So
that sucks.
Yeah.
Come in and buy your chips and soft drink. Oh, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's like a rough type of customer service. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what it's all about though. It's like, hey, you're going to come get this, and then you're also going to need to get this, this, and this, and this. And that's where we're going to make our money. That's where the profit margin is. It's like, 50, 60% profit margin on the bag of chips that you're buying. And that little coffee that doesn't cost anything, you're paying $3 for, it costs 1 cent to come out of that drip. So, that's where the money is. So,
dude, why was the dairy soft serve machine so awesome?
I'll tell you why it was awesome. One, the boss bought really good mix for it. And two, we clean that shit like every other day. We made sure it was super clean because we sold so much of it. Like, we were cleaning that soft serve machine every other day, if not every day. And we kept it super clean. And you're taking the thing apart, you're emptying it, taking it apart, flushing water through it a bunch of times with like a cleanser. And it takes a good like 30 minutes to clean it. That's why it was so good, because we kept it clean. And I don't know. I mean, I heard that it's still there and it's still good. So they must be still doing it. But I mean,
people, when I'm telling you, like, growing up and going to the dairy and getting soft serve, like, it was the greatest soft serve ice cream you can ever get. I'm not joking with you. It was so incredibly good. And I trip out about it because I go to like AMPMs and see like soft serve and like little things here and there that you could possibly get, and no kid touches it. Like, no kid cares about it. I don't know where it fell off, or people don't care about their machine like like Dick talked about, but it makes sense if you have high quality this and you're constantly cleaning the machine. It makes me think that other machines are being cleaned like once a week, where it's just
Yeah.
getting built up full of crap, possibly.
Yeah.
I never know. But
Yeah.
that makes complete sense, man. But that was the number one thing. If I went into the dairy to grab some stuff for like my dad or whatever, I was like, "Can I get a soft serve?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead," because it was only like a buck, like buck 75 to like 225 if you got like a big ass cup worth of shit.
Yeah.
And if you came in, if I saw get the big old giant
the 44
soda
ounce.
cup.
I was just gonna say that. You're coming to get the 44 ounce of soft serve.
I saw someone do that. I was like, "Oh my god, you can do that!" I'm like, I didn't want to be a piece of shit because I was already a big kid back when I was in like middle school doing that stuff. So I was like, "There's no way I'd walk into my house with that and my dad be okay with it."
There's a lady that would come in daily and get that, and then there was a lady that actually invented a root beer float. And we started selling those. Like she started coming and getting those. The boss saw it. He's like, "We're gonna start selling those. We're gonna have an actual price for those." Because we didn't know what to charge her, so we would charge her for like a small cup of soda and then like a large soft serve. But she get like a 44 ounce root beer float. It was great, and invented a new item at the dairy. But yeah, that soft serve was amazing. But I can just basically, that's the only thing I can say about it, is that we kept it super clean, and that was like me and J-Bone always, like, because we were managers of the dairy for a long time. And we were like, man, we got to keep this shit clean. We clean the soda fountain every day. Cause that's important too. Like you got a dirty soda fountain, it's going to taste like shit. You're drinking all that nasty crap and all the mold and shit. So you gotta have a nice clean one. We always kept that clean. So,
I'm gonna leave a link inside the description of Dick's podcast where he talks about the dairy, so you guys can kind of have like a better understanding if you want to check it out. But it's like so legendary, and I think the soft serve machine does not get talked about enough. It's like the dairy gap and all the crazy stuff that happened, but the soft serve machine was like the creme de la creme that you didn't get. You had out there in a hot desert. It was perfect. Like you guys,
summertime was great. Yeah,
I love you. You guys, I love you guys for that. It was perfect.
It really was. Yeah, it definitely was.
So yeah, all right, brother.
Okay, November 1st, 1985. So the RIAA, which is the Recording Industry Association of America, agrees to demands of the PMRC, which is the Parents Music Resource Center. And this is like Tipper Gore, who was Al Gore's wife. He was a senator. Susan Baker, who was John Baker's wife. He was the Secretary of the Treasury in 1985. Basically, they agreed to their demands that any album deemed to have explicit lyrics must have a warning label. And that's that black and white label that you always see now on those. On this day, they agreed to the demands of the PMRC. Now, so basically the way it was is it has to have a warning label, or the lyrics have to be printed on the sleeve, but most of them just, did the warning label because it was easy. So it said parental advisory explicit lyrics when it first came out. I mean, you still see this. And the U.S. Senate actually had a hearing on this afterwards to discuss like this. There was a lot of people against this. People like Frank Zappa, Dee Snider was there. And then what surprised me was fucking John Denver was there to protest this shit. Good old country road, take me home, John Denver.
Did they think it's like a sense of censorship?
Yes, exactly. That's what it was. Okay. But what brought me to this too was how Tipper Gore decided that she was going to do this, right? And I thought this was pretty funny. So Tipper Gore, she was listening to the album Purple Rain by Prince and was loving it until she heard the song Darling Nikki. Okay. Now, the way that song starts out, I don't know if you want to play it, but
talk about it. I'll break.
Okay.
I'll try to break it up.
So she heard this song and the lyrics blew her away. So she went crazy, right? She was like, my kids listen to this. And then she turned on MTV and saw the Van Halen song Hot for Teacher and decided that she had to do something about this. Because at the time, Reagan was president and the conservatives were taking over, right? And this was in the 80s where it's like, oh, you have to be a far-right conservative and they're got to shut down all the liberals who have the purple hair. So it kind of sounds familiar about today. But she came up with the Filthy 15, which I'm not going to go into, but it was that song by Prince. We're
I
not
got
going
a
to
minor
take
clip
it.
of it.
Yeah, just the beginning. I mean,
Okay. Prince is a god.
I know. And I thought you'd love it when I saw that. That's so groovy, dude. That's so groovy.
In my eyes, she had so many devices, everything that money could buy. She said, sign your name on a dotted line. The lights went out, and Nikki started to grind.
Such a good
So
song.
good.
Yeah. So
How can you be offended by words?
well, I think in the beginning he says masturbation, so I think that's what it was. But yeah, but it was she was offended by that song, and she said she's going to do something about it. So she came up with 15 songs that were called the Filthy 15, and she wanted to take this all the way to the Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA, and I mean, she's talking about like "Dress You Up" by Madonna, and then but not like a virgin. Like I don't understand. But yeah, like we're not going to take it. That song. There's a 15 songs that basically she just did, and on this day, that's when that happened. After this happened in the early 90s, they decided to standardize the size and always in the bottom right side, and they changed it from parental advisory explicit lyrics to explicit content. Because originally what she wanted to do was have it like the movie ratings where there's like an X for like sexual content and stuff like that. But they came to a compromise where it was like, no, okay, we'll just put this advisory sticker. And it became huge with like early 90s hip hop. One of the first albums that it was on was Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted. And
oh, that's a mean album, dude.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
That's a mean.
So good. But one of the biggest ones, which I remember when I was, I want to say I was in maybe late middle school into going into high school, was Two Live Crew, As Nasty as They Want to Be. That one was actually declared legally obscene, and it was basically illegal when it first came out. And
what was it called?
It's called Two Live Crew. That's
the group.
Oh, me so horny. You know that song? That song. So that song was, I heard that when I want to say it was like either early high school, and it blew me away. I was like, I can't listen to this. Like I was embarrassed by listening to this because the things they were talking about, I didn't know anything about what they were saying, but now I think about it, I'm like, holy shit. That for the kid to listen to that. So that's where like, okay, I can see an album like that getting explicit lyric content on there, getting an advisory like, hey, kids shouldn't be listening to this shit. And what's funny about that is like a lot of musicians started doing a clean version of their albums, and when As Nasty as We Want to Be came out, they got so much flack for it that they put out As Clean as We Want to Be, and they censored everything. So I was like, come on, don't cave, dude, because that album like changed music. It made it to where like, hey, this is as crazy as it's going to get, and it got crazier from there. But that's how things work. But
that's so interesting, dude, because
Yeah.
I remember going to Walmart and you would see two different versions of a CD, and it's like, why would you ever want to buy a clean version? Like,
right. Well, that's the thing. That's what ended up happening later, because a lot of the big retailers like Walmart, didn't want to carry these albums. Anything that had the explicit content, they wouldn't carry it. And so that's why a lot of them said, okay, well, we're going to do a clean version. And then, Walmart, places like Walmart, Target, the big retailers decided to take those albums. And then later they'd have each version. But this was in the very beginning when that started happening. But one of the cool facts I thought about this was it basically backfired for a lot of them, right? Because kids thought it was cool to have something that had, I know when I was a kid, like if I had something that had that little thing on it, it was like, I was cool. Look at this. This has cuss words on it, right? Like in middle school, if you had like NWA, fuck yeah, dude. People thought you were cool as fuck. So it kind of backfired. It actually became like a selling point, But fun fact, the song Mother by Danzig, is actually about the PMRC. You listen to those lyrics. I did not know that. That's something that I found out while I was doing this research. Also, there's a song by NoFX. It's called PMRC Can Suck on This. So that's NoFX for you. But they had something to say about it. But yeah, woo! Oh, so funny. We love you long time. So horny.
Just can you imagine like bumping that on your boombox when you were a kid and your parents just walk in your room and like, what the hell are you listening to?
I remember listening to that going, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
but I love it.
It sounds great. It sounds like everybody's enjoying this.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember when that came out, I was like, everybody was talking about it, but none of us knew what the fuck it was saying. None of us knew anything about that kind of stuff. Oh man, dude, that was so. Yeah, that's something that I didn't know about all this stuff. Like these guys, like she listened to this music and was like, I'm gonna do something about this. I mean, it's ridiculous. And for me, I think that I don't know. I cuss in front of my kids. I don't try to show my kids like things that are really like dirty or anything like that when they're younger. Like they don't see anything like that, but like I'll say fuck this, and like my kids know that they're not supposed to say it. My oldest daughter won't cuss in front of me to this day. She's 26 and she will not say one bad word in front of me, but I cussed all through her childhood. So but I do agree when things are like really 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 explicit like that, like parents need to know like, hey, your kids shouldn't listen to this. But
yeah,
I had a friend tell me a story, and this is pretty funny. So she was telling me that her sister bought a Smash Mouth CD, and it had that on there. And it's a Smash Mouth, right? And it had that sticker on it. And her dad saw that and smashed the shit out of it and said, "No, you're not listening to this garbage." And this is Smash Mouth. I mean, I know that. I mean, and maybe it had because it had a couple cuss words on it. That's why it got the explicit content. And I mean, you're not thinking of that as like comparing it to like Two Live Crew, right? And her dad was pissed. You're not listening to this garbage. A few years later, they're listening to it in the car, and her dad was like, "This is good. I like this. What is this? Oh, this is that same CD you smashed like 3 years ago." It's like that's the thing that's different. It's like, where's the line where you got to put explicit content on it just because it says fucking shit, or where it's like Two Live Crew.
It's the, and you know what? Going back to 85, thinking that this is we need our culture and society to stay like this forever, so we need to censor and do all this stuff. And that's just wrong, because all we've done in this entire existence is just keep growing. Yeah, so
that's
to
true.
think that anybody in this entire world, whoever you love or whatever, can come down or rule over you and think that they can just stop growth, it's impossible.
Right.
So I remember there was a story that I remember I had taken my daughter to a Troye Sivan show years ago, and he's a gay pop singer, and Kim Petras opened up for him, and she is a beautiful woman who is a trans. She was, I saw pictures of her when she was a boy, and she transitioned over, and she's gorgeous, and she has really, really good music. And this was probably 5 years ago. And when I told somebody about that, they shit all over me. Like, I can't believe you took your daughter to a gay concert where it's promoting homosexuality and all this stuff. And I was like, whatever you think, I can care the fuck less, because you're closed-minded. I lived in Palm Springs. My daughter pretty much grew up for 5 years of her life, small life in Palm Springs, and with that culture, so she knows how the people are. Yeah. So if anybody's really homophobic out there, just go to Palm Springs and stay there for a little bit. The people are fantastic. If I can bring Palm Springs people to the Central Coast, I would switch them up in a heartbeat. I miss those people, but it's so damn hot. But I ended up, years later, I ended up talking to the same person, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, have you heard of Kim Petras? Her music's so wonderful." I'm like, "What changed?" I'm like,
Yeah.
what changed from you talking all this shit years ago when you were probably just like closed-minded about things, and then within a couple years you probably just opened your heart to education, and then you're like, oh, this works. This music and this whole thing works.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like, who cares?
It's so simple. It's so simple and so easy.
Yeah, it really is. It's really like, okay, who cares if the person's gay, if the person's trans, and if the music's fucking good? Who gives a shit, right? Why
Yeah, I
does
mean,
that have to be an issue?
I don't know who is out there promoting like hate speech, like to the point of like Adolf Hitler, where like specifically finger pointing a certain ethnicity and culture. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody's really doing that right now. So it's like we need to lighten up about things. It's not that bad, you know. It's
Yeah.
not that crazy. So. And that's why I try to teach my daughter too. I'm like, this type of stuff because I told her, I said, someone talked to me about this, and she's like, really? She's like, why would they dislike gay people? I'm like, I have no clue. I was growing up in the Antelope Valley, I mean, at least for me personally, I didn't really have a lot of gay friends and didn't even see a lot of gay people in Little Rock.
Right.
So I probably knew like one person that entire 4 years I was there. So the AV was kind of like really closed off to like the outside world. It seemed like we're in LA County, but we're on the outskirts of it. Like you have to go through like dead space and mountains to get to us.
Yeah.
So when I finally moved from there after like 30 years of existence, I moved to Palm Springs, and I was in a culture shock, dude. But it was one of those cool culture shocks. It was like, wow, I've never experienced this type of life and these people, and it's great. Like everybody's wonderful. Like one of my best friends is a gay artist in LA, and I love him. I text him every once in a while. I'm like, I just love you. He's like, I love you too. You know, it's just, you know, we've so grown outside of this whole closed-mindedness that the fact that we even go back 50 or even 40 years ago, like, fuck, dude, 40 years ago, it's only the 80s.
It doesn't seem that way.
No, but it's like even back then we're like, you know, people were fighting, like drag queens were fighting just to be you know, themselves, or gay people trying to be themselves. We've gone so surpassed all that type of shit that even being closed-mindedness now is so silly.
Yeah.
Go on the internet.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's even a thing anymore. Like, who cares? Like, you know, it shouldn't matter who you love. It shouldn't matter, you know, what you identify as. Who cares? Who cares? Just shut up. I just don't care.
Well, can you imagine like someone, can you imagine you go up to someone, or like you're trying to get married to the one you love, you know, male or female, same sex or not, and they say, nope, God doesn't want that, so you can't do that. I'm like, so you tell me I can't do that? Like, you're telling me I can't marry the one I love because, you know, a religious belief is against it. You know, love is love. You know, whether you believe in the 50% of divorces happens, you know, whatever the case may be, there's still 50% of love there.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly, you know, both of us, you know, you and I are both getting married soon, and it's like, I'm madly in love with the person I'm with, and I'm sure you are too. And if anybody's going to tell me not to marry that person, then you know what? They can fuck off. I'm going to do what I want to do because I'm going to spend the rest of my life with that person. And why does it even have to be gay marriage? It's marriage. You know, you're marrying the person you love. Like, I hate that.
You're getting married. Yeah, you're getting married.
Yeah, and you know what? I've always felt like you can't help who you are attracted to. It's like, I couldn't say, well, you know what? Now I'm attracted to dudes. I know maybe so there's people that do that. They're, you know, but I feel like I could never go be attracted to dudes. You know, that's never going to happen. So I can't fake that I'm straight, just as the same as someone can't fake they're gay. I've always felt that way. I used to say that in high school, and you know, I had like maybe 3 or 4 friends that were gay in high school, and I had like 3 lesbian friends. And then I had this one gay dude that we always hung out with. It was cool as fuck. And I always would say that, like, you can't really help who you are attracted to and who you love. It's just who you are, and it's just how you feel. And so why is it even a thing in 2024? Why? It's just stupid. It's ridiculous.
It's the silliest thing ever. It truly is. And it's just closed-mindedness.
It really is. It really is.
Oh, dude. First off, with your story, dude, I didn't know fucking Reagan's, man. You know, it's like, I didn't know that was like so close to me being born and stuff like that, because I was born in 82, and then they slapped that on there, and it just makes sense. Like, now it's a ploy, because I remember when I had that explicit content, because I used to buy CDs from a catalog.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they would send me like BMG Music or whatever, I think it was BMG. They would send me a catalog of all these CDs that were available, and I would peel off the stickers and send it back of the ones I wanted, and they would send me a bill with all the CDs I had there.
I remember getting in so much trouble for doing that.
Yeah, and I did.
My mom kicked my ass for doing that one time. I think I only ordered like 3. Oh, geez.
Oh, no, dude. I ordered like 12.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I ordered 12, and like 4 of them had that explicit content on there, dude. It was... Dude. But man, I remember I would have to hide like 2 of them, just so I could show my friends at school, and I was in middle school during this time. So this is like the early 90s, like 94 and stuff. I had a show with the Nirvana in utero and stuff right before he died and stuff. So it was like, didn't make any sense. But, dude, it was crazy. It was a great time. It was we really have grown as a society. The fact that you guys can go on your internet or on your mobile device and buy anything throughout the world. I was buying CDs off a catalog with stickers, CD stickers.
I totally remember that shit, dude. I'll never forget the ass whooping I got.
I mean, I don't know if I didn't get an ass whooping. My parents just like to yell at me. So
that's basically my parents too. Yeah.
Yeah. Loud voices really. So I don't really, this is as loud as my voice really gets. I really don't peak outside of this unless I'm watching sports. Even when I'm fighting, even though I'm not fighting or arguing with my lady or having an argument, I don't go above this. Because if I know if it goes above this, it doesn't never need to be that way. Unless I'm trying to save somebody or like sports. Really.
100%. I was screaming the other night, but yeah.
Oh, I bet, dude. Oh, dude. Dude. Okay. So I went to sleep. Oh my gosh. Your guys' 5-run inning was dirty. Like and the fact that because I went to sleep, I was like, I'm not going to stay up for this because the Yankees scored like, I think the next inning, which made it 6-5. I'm like, I'm not going to stay up for this because I'm totally content with them going back to Los Angeles and taking this.
Yeah.
So I put my phone in sleep mode. Nothing goes through my phone, only like my essential people.
Right.
So I wake up in the morning and I get all these notifications. Congratulations to the Dodgers, the comeback of comebacks. I'm like, what the fuck? No way. That's crazy. And the fact that Freddie Freeman got MVP, that's cool, dude. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I heard the Yankees did some dirty stuff during like a moment of silence for like cancer. Like
they were
or something like that.
They were like talking to each other and laughing and like kind of like making fun of it, and it was like, it's like, I can't stand the Yankees. I really can't stand any of them. Like really, there's not one of them that I'm like, oh, that guy's pretty cool. Not one of them. I can't stand any of those guys.
It wasn't just the Yankees talking trash like during like the silence for cancer victim. Freddie Freeman's, wife is going through cancer, like some sort of like cancer treatment and stuff like that, or survived it years ago.
It was his mom. His mom died.
His mom. Yeah. Oh, his mom died. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. His mom died of cancer and his dad had cancer. So, and his dad's like in, remission right now. So it's really huge to him, and like he was holding a sign that said my mom. When they were talking about the signs they were holding were people that they were standing up for when it came to cancer. Wow. And his said, my mom. I mean, and with everything he's gone through, with his son having, I want to say, I can't remember the name of the disease his son has, but he missed, a bunch of games. He missed like 2 weeks during the season because his son was in the hospital. And it's like, come on, this guy deserves everything that he's getting right now. And these guys are going to sit there, the Yankees are going to sit there and talk shit while they're, people are having a moment of silence standing up for people that have cancer that they know or they have lost. And I lost my dad to cancer. So yeah, damn right. I was fucking standing up. Cancer, fuck cancer. And that pissed me off. And I didn't even see it, but that pissed me off when it was happening, when I heard it happen. Cause I was like, really? You know how many people cancer has killed, including my father, including my grandmother? It's like, give me a fucking break. So
everybody knows somebody, or if you experience some sort of cancer in your life, whether it's in your personal family or not. You know,
Yeah.
Cancer is so amongst us.
Yeah,
that,
it really is.
You know, the fact that people can just be so disrespectful. That what's crazy to me is that you like, were these people raised so poorly that you would be so disrespectful during a moment like this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then people go back like, well, that's Yankee fans. It's like, that's
Yeah.
terrible. That's a whole fucking state. You know, that's a whole state of people. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, and they talk shit about Dodger fans, which, you know, Dodger fans are, you know, they're not great, but Yankee fans are 100 times worse. You know, they're a bunch of dicks, honestly, a bunch of assholes, dicks and assholes.
and dicks like to get fucked by assholes.
Dicks like to get fucked by assholes.
And sometimes like to fuck by pussies. That's
yes,
so
exactly.
dude, that's so great. I saw a meme that said failing state beats other failing state in World Series.
It's true. It's so true.
I would love to be like a professional memer, but sometimes they like drop like the funniest things off of like world events before like some of the journalists do. And I go, what the hell is this? And then I'll hear, like, I remember waking up about the submarine exploding.
Yeah.
And then the meme guys was like, oh, and they were putting like controllers and like batteries floating all around it and shit like that. I'm like, what's going on? And then my lady tells me like an hour later, like, oh my God, did you hear what happened? And I go, she tells me, and I go, is this what this fucking guy was posting? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you see that kind of shit first before you even see anything else.
Yeah,
totally.
So it's just like, you think this is all funny. I mean, it's all fun and games and stuff, but these guys are like grinding like all day long to be the first two, you know?
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey man, do we want to talk about I hope we talk about our top 5 shows experience, because I went through a wormhole last night because I was putting stuff in all different places, man. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this because I feel like I'm cheating someone out.
Yeah, I did the same thing, man. Like I went through I changed it a bunch of different times, and I finally came up with a really good list that I feel like is meaningful, great shows, and just stuff that I always remember, because I've been to probably, 100 shows in my life. Mostly like small venues, small punk rock shows in Hollywood. And like, that's the ones I've been to the most. But there's a few big shows I've been to. And just which ones still to this day stick in my mind. And that's where I ended up coming up with these shows. So you want to go first, or you want me to go first, or?
It's up to you, man.
Well, I'll go first because I'm excited about my list.
Okay.
So I really am. I really want to talk about these shows, dude. I really do. So my first one was really special to me. It was in 2017.
Did you rank them?
I did. This is in from 5th to 1st. This is definitely a rank, and I had to go back and forth with like which one was. I knew which one was my number one because it's one I'll never forget. But so the first one was in 2017. I was here living in Utah, and I was almost, it was almost before I moved back to LA, because I moved back to LA in 2018 for about 4 years, and I came back to Utah, and that's where in 2017 I met my girlfriend, and we weren't together yet. We were just kind of talking, seeing each other. We worked together, and we were kind of getting together, and then she surprises me and she says, "The Foo Fighters are playing here in Salt Lake." So, and she knew that at the time I was really, into the Foo Fighters, and I still, love them. And so she bought me tickets. So I saw Foo Fighters, and it was, at that time it was Vivint Arena, the big place where the Jazz play. Now it's Delta Center. But we saw the Foo Fighters, and I hadn't been to a huge arena show like that. I think that was the first one that I'd ever been to, was like a big, with a big arena. There's always small venues and stuff like that. And the Foo Fighters played for almost 3 hours. And it was so fucking good. And one of the things about it was like this girl who I barely knew, we had known each other for about 3 months, bought me tickets, and we're still together to this day. We're planning on getting married. And that show was just so good. And I've always, when I was in high school, I was such a huge fan of Nirvana. And then when Foo Fighters came out, I've always been a great fan. So that show was amazing. I mean, it was so good. I had never seen a show that big with that many people, right? So that one was amazing. That one's my number 5.
And you saw that was with Taylor Hawkins was drumming.
Taylor
still,
Hawkins
right?
was drumming still. Yeah, he was. And he had, I mean, the lighting that he used, like the whole stage effects, it was just amazing. And, Taylor had this, I want to say it was probably 8 minutes drum solo, maybe 10-minute drum solo, where it was just him on the stage. And it just went on and on and on. It was so fucking good. I love that guy. Is so good. He was so fucking good. Rest in peace. And that was a big loss, losing Taylor. But I actually got to see him play live once. And I mean, one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. Out of all the hundreds of shows that I've been to, that show will always stick in my mind. And not only that, like I said, it was something that I got to share with a girl that I was trying to, talk to. And I was like, you had me at Foo Fighters tickets, So, but no, it was just a super nice thing that she did for me. And like I said, it was just a really memorable show. I'll never forget that show.
People, I don't want to rob you of this. Every time I hear the Foo Fighters, I always think about this in particular. See if I can pull it.
He goes up, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. That's my favorite.
Dude, Dave Grohl's Christopher Walken impression, it will always be a classic to me, man.
He goes up, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Foo Fighters.
So good, man. I'm so jealous that you got to see it, man. I'm so jealous, dude.
Yeah, it was so good, bro.
Especially if you weren't able to see Nirvana and then you see like the success that a key member of that group does. It's like, that's awesome, because you don't hear about the bass player. The bass player, I think, kind of went like political because he's so tall.
Yeah. And then, he's, I don't know.
He just towers everybody.
He does, yeah. So, okay. So that's number 5. Number 4 is the only time I was able to see this band. And if we're going to go to When We Were Young next year, they're playing at the show. Bad Religion. I saw them. They're probably one of my top 5 punk rock bands of all time. And I've only, in all the shows I went to, only got to see them one time. And this was at the Roxy in 1998. I had to look up the year because I remember it was at the Roxy and I tried to remember. So I tried to look up the show to see like what year it was. And it was in 1998. And I do remember that my oldest daughter was a small child and a baby. She was born a baby. I don't know if you knew that. She was born a baby. But I'm like looking out my window and like there's these dogs running around and like I got sidetracked. There's these little ugly ass dogs running around. I'm like, so I got sidetracked.
You're anyway, fucking my view up.
You're fucking my vibe, dude. My daughter was like really like just born, and I remember like going, I don't know if I'm gonna go to the show. Some friends were going, and like I think my daughter was probably like a couple months old when they went. But the only time I got to see Bad Religion, and I can't remember who was playing with them, but I remember just being in the pit the whole time, thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna get hurt and go to the hospital. I just had a newborn baby, but I was, I got a little drunk and just got in the pit. And then when Bad Religion was playing, it was just the most amazing set. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Roxy, but it's my favorite Hollywood venue when I was younger. It was like my favorite place to go. It's just, I love the stage. I love the sound. I just love everything about going to that place. I mean, I've probably been there maybe 15 times, 20 times. And this show is always going to stick in my mind just because the band was so tight and so good at that show. And I got a little bruised up in the pit and stuff like that. It was just an amazing show. And for some reason, all these shows, like out of all the ones I've been to, there's only a few that really, maybe 10 that really stick in my mind. And this one was really, really one of them.
I've only been to the Roxy twice, and the first time it was like in the early 2000s, and I was on an MTV show, Battle for Ozfest. Well, my group was, and it was like a road rules for musicians where they took out one band member and they did all this crazy or dumb stuff during Ozfest. So the finale was filmed at the Roxy, where the last 2 bands would perform, and then Ozzy and Sharon would announce the winner. So that was my first time being there, and I got to go upstairs to like the private area, and I got to hang out and party with Zakk Wylde for like an hour.
Nice,
like,
dude.
It was, dude, he went around every single table and just started taking people's drinks and just started drinking them, and nobody said a word.
Yeah.
And me and my singer, He's a big guy, JD. He's a huge dude, and we're all getting drunk, and we huddle like a football game. And Zach's like, "We're gonna start a TV show playing football, but here's the thing: we're gonna talk so much shit to the opposing team, and they're gonna be so oblivious, and we're gonna have cameras on us." And we're like, "Dude, this is such a great idea. We should totally do it." And we're just just shit faced. And I couldn't believe that was my very first time being there and hanging out with like an icon, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to trash on anybody, but there was other like really big celebrities there that were really nasty and mean to me. So it was like Zach Wilde was like a fresh breath of fresh air.
Good.
And then my second time being there, I actually saw Lyle perform there with Terraplane Son.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
and they were supposed to go to a show there with him. It might have been that one. He invited me to that one.
They were really good, and the sound, like you said, man, was incredible.
Yeah, there's something about it at that place. Like, I've always loved the sound there.
It's just close venues, man, or closed venues are always the best, man. When it comes down to sound, optimizing sound.
Yeah,
because I remember me and my group would perform at the Whiskey. We perform at the Whiskey at least like once or twice a month, and we had our own engineer that had everything locked down, and our sound was like perfect. But it took us like a year or so, probably like it's like 6 months of just continuously playing there to finally get that engineer to like be our guy. Like he would drop everything and be at our show just to like set up our mixing and stuff.
Yeah.
But you go to a bigger, like I was talking to my fiance about this. This is so weird because she was like, "Man, you guys are going to talk about shows? Like that Incubus show was great. We saw them at the Hollywood Bowl last year, and the sound, like the engineer screwed the mixing up so bad I couldn't even enjoy it, dude. And it was so sad." I'm like, I bet you if they played at a smaller venue with the set that they played, it would have been great.
Oh yeah.
But if you're at a higher level, if the sound is just not leveled properly, it just sounds like echoes of music, and it sounded crappy, dude. And I was like already pissed off that it took me forever to get into the Hollywood Bowl because of the traffic, and now I'm like experiencing a bad show. I was like, this isn't fair.
Yeah, exactly. That sucks. Yeah, well, my number 3 is actually at the Roxy too. Like I said, I've been there a lot of times. This was one of my, I want to say it's one of the maybe 3rd or 4th show I'd ever been to in my life. And it was in 1995. I was, still in high school, and I saw NoFX at the Roxy. And I think it was probably my first time at the Roxy. And the reason this show always sticks in my mind is because I remember when they first took the stage, they were like, guys, we're recording this for a live album. Like they were talking about shit. So 10 years or what is it? I Heard They Suck Live.
I heard they suck. No way.
I was at one of those shows. And then when I heard the album, so they recorded 2 shows at the Roxy. And I was at one of the shows. I remember them saying that, like, we're recording this for a live album. Then it came out, and I was like, holy shit. I think I looked at Tommy. I was like, dude, that was the show we were at. And he's like, no, that's not. Dude, we were at that show, and we heard some of the stuff they said. They kind of mixed it all together. But, like, a lot of the stuff they were saying, there's a part where he's like, stop spitting on me. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, I was one of the ones spitting on him. I was right there. and yeah, like, we were at one of those shows, and that's why it's so memorable to me, because I've heard that album so many times, and I was fucking there. And we didn't know that we got the tickets to go. I didn't know that that's what they're going to be filming. Recording that show.
This album is the only reason why I started listening to NoFX.
Yeah.
If you had this album, people thought you were fucking legit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of the best live albums that it's right up there with like Sublime's live album.
I can't believe you were there, dude.
I was fucking there, dude.
Multiple jealous of you so far in this list.
Yeah. Wow. Since then I've seen, NoFX. I probably saw him maybe 10 times. It was one of the bands I've seen the most out of everything. Because I had a friend that could always get tickets. He's like, hey, NoFX is playing over here. Let's go. All right, we're going. Let's go. We'd go after school and then try to go to school the next day. When I was in high school, we were doing that all the time. But that was just a show in 95. I remember being like a senior in high school. I had like I want to say like I had a mohawk. I just cut my hair. And because I had long hair for a while because I was in this Kurt Cobain phase. And then I had a mohawk. I remember having like a green mohawk at that show, and it was crazy, dude. Like all these things that they say, all the banter. I was like, I remember that, So yeah, that's definitely on the list. That was almost number one, but there's a couple shows that mean something to me that I wanted to talk about. So
How can you get better than this, dude? I hope, dude. This is good. This is exciting.
Well, yeah. So the number two is a show that I went to just in 2022, and the reason this show meant so much to me is because it was the first show I ever went to with my daughter. And my 15-year-old daughter Kayla is obsessed with concerts, just like I was when I was her age. And she's going to concerts all the time. She called me the other day and said, I'm going to a show tonight. And I'm like, it's like Thursday. What do you mean? And she's like, oh yeah, my friend's taking me to Hawthorne Heights. And I was like, what? So she went and saw Hawthorne Heights last week. I was like, are you kidding? Like, I'm not a huge fan of Hawthorne Heights, but like, they're good. And I know a few of their songs. And she's like, yeah, we're just going to, I'm like, really? Like she's going to shows all the time. So we went and saw My Chemical Romance. And this was at the Forum in LA. And it was the last show of 5 shows they did, and they were all sold out. The reason she wanted to go to this show is because she, at the time and still to this day, is obsessed with a band called Water Parks. And they're a really good band. And they were opening and at the Forum for My Chemical Romance, because what they were doing on this tour is bringing in a bunch of bands that were local and that were smaller and local, and basically bringing in people that were their friends. But she was obsessed. She's like, we have to go to this show. So for her birthday, I took her to see My Chemical Romance at the Forum. And she did, like, now she dances and has a great time. She just went and saw Korn. Oh,
wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's going and seeing all these bands. I'm like, damn. And but this show was her very first show, and she was so excited and so nervous at the same time. And I got to say, like, I have never before this seen My Chemical Romance, and that was such a good show. And again, it was a big, like, arena show at the Forum, and it was like so many people there. I wasn't used to that, and I was blown away by how good they sounded. After all these years, they sounded so good, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And not only that, seeing my daughter watch at the time was like her favorite band, and that show it'll always be one of my top shows that I've ever been to. Experiencing that with my kid, she's so much like me. It's crazy. So, but yeah,
does it make you feel good?
It does, dude. It really does. Like, I love that. It's funny because we talk about music and she knows more than me. And how long have I, been into music and like looking up things about bands? She knows more than me because she just obsesses over it. And I love talking to her about music and bands. And she doesn't just like bands that are now. She likes bands that are like I used to listen to. And she'll tell me all these things about bands that I used to listen to. And I'm like, how do you know all this? She's like, I just did a bunch of research. I went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. It's like she knows more than me about music, and I love it. And she's learning how to play guitar. It's great. I love it. She's going to be a rock star someday, and she's amazing. So anyway, that concert was great. It will always be one of my top concerts in my memory. Out of the hundreds I've been to, there's not much that's going to beat that one, except for the first one. But.
Did you? I don't mean to interrupt you, but did you say the opener was called Water Parks?
Water Parks. If you're going to play a song, play a song called Turbulent.
Okay.
It's either Turbulent or Turbulence. I think it's Turbulent. But she showed me that song and I was blown away.
Turbulent.
Like, Turbulent. It's so good. This song is really good.
See, I'm getting you guys without an ad. I have Apple Music, but I don't have it on a computer, which sucks.
Right.
You had your own Pete, Winston, Patrick combined, writing your songs and singing them all like every single day. Tour brings that special pain. So
is it a group or a single artist?
It's a group. It's 3 guys.
Hold on, you let her listen to that with those lyrics?
Yeah.
Kids like this upbeat music, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's like really intense, like really like energetic and stuff. Something like if I was playing this back in the 90s, my parents would be like, what drugs are you taking?
Exactly. Yes, yeah. Well, my dad said that to me anyway, so no matter what I was listening to. Yeah. So,
That's
but
sweet.
yeah, they're a really good band. She still loves them to this day. She's like, I discovered them. I was one of the first ones to listen to them, and
Oh,
now they're getting popular. So,
I love how they try to claim like a group. Like
Yeah.
I found them. I'm like, you didn't discover shit. Stop it.
I know. Yeah, I mean, we went to see them shortly after that. We saw them at their own show where they headlined, and this was at the Fonda Theater in Hollywood, and it was a smaller venue.
I
And
love that theater.
it's so yeah. We sat up in the balcony and watched it, and it was holy shit. It was such a good show, such a good show.
Oh my gosh, you just made me think about another show. All right, I'm adding one more. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead, dude.
That's all right. Okay, so my number one show was, I want to say it was like the second show I ever went to, and it was a festival. And a friend of mine invited me to go in high school, and it was because Nirvana was supposed to be headlining. And I was like, hell yeah! And it's like I said at the time, I was into the grunge thing, and I loved Nirvana. This was like 1994, and this was Lollapalooza 1994, and we were supposed to go, and then we all know what happened, and I was really upset about it. Okay, I was like, well, I don't even want to go. I don't want to go to this stupid thing, but I went and listened to the bands that were playing on this in 1994. So Smashing Pumpkins replaced Nirvana to headline. They were huge at the time. But this had Green Day, who had just released Dookie. Okay. And funny thing about that is I had seen Green Day just prior to this in Hollywood. And like I said, this was probably like Lollapalooza was probably like my third show I'd ever been to. And a friend of mine took me to go see Green Day. And I didn't know who they were. I'd never heard of it. I was like, who the fuck is this? And Billy Joe came out on stage naked. And the guitar was covering his dick, and that was it. Yeah, he came out on stage naked, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" But then now, and this was maybe 3 months later, they were at opening. They're basically opening Lollapalooza '94, and Beastie Boys played. That was amazing.
Jeez.
The Breeders, I still to this day I love the Breeders. L7 is one of my favorite bands. They're an all-girl, basically just like kind of grunge punk band. But yeah, it was a festival, and the thing about that festival too is, we were, at festivals you go around, you watch a band, and you go around, go over here, go to like a second stage, watch this band. There's a few good bands on the second stage, or the second stages, the smaller ones. But we were walking by some booths, and I heard some music playing. It was like some heavy guitars, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like following and trying to find it. And so I find the booth, and I asked the guy, I said, "What is this? What are you playing?" And he's like, "Oh, this band's called Rancid." And I was like, "I have to have this." And I bought a CD there for probably like $3. And it was a CD, and it was their very first album that we were talking about when I was talking about bass players. And it's just their self-titled album. And as most people that know me, that's my favorite band, my favorite punk band of all time is Rancid. That's where I heard Rancid for the very first time, was at Lollapalooza '94, where I saw, like I said, I saw Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day. Green Day came out, and as Billy Joe was walking, he got hit with a can, like a beer can or something hit him, and he just turns and looks and flips everybody off, and it was great. And they were throwing shit at the stage the whole time. And I mean, our L7 said, we can go they're like, if you guys keep throwing shit at the stage, we're going to fucking stop our set, and we're going to put a Phil Collins CD on for the rest of it. So it was great, man. But when right before Green Day came on, me and my friends were like, we're going to get to the front of the stage. We're going to go watch it from the front. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And once they started playing, that place went off like I've never seen. And I was dead center front of the stage, and I'm getting pushed back, and I'm getting thrown all over the place. And I'd been to a couple punk shows, smaller venues, and I kind of stood on the outside, got in the pit a little bit to try to test it out. But this was like thousands of people, and I'm right in the middle of it. And I'd never experienced this before. I was scared out of my mind. And I fell. Well, first thing that happened is I lost one of my shoes. I had old school Vans on, and I lost one of them, and it was gone. I didn't know where it was. And then I got tackled. I fell on my back, and 10 people fell on top of me, and I couldn't breathe. And what 94? I'm like 16, and feel like I'm about to die, and I'm reaching my hand out of this dog pile, and I feel an arm grab. This guy grabs my arm, and then finally all these people get off of me, and I'm like, I get up, and I'm covered in mud, and this guy's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, barely. I'm like, "Yeah." I have no shoes on. I'm just in socks, and they're covered in mud. And the guy pushes me into the pit, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" I'm in my socks. Just kind of. Next thing you know, I'm in the pit, and I'm going around the pit for a while, and then got through the whole Green Day set. And after, there's literally probably 150 shoes right up in the front. Somehow everybody lost their shoes. They were pushed up against the barrier, and I'm going through all these shoes trying to find mine. And
damn, you went back for your shoes, dude.
I did. I was like, well, there's all these shoes up here, like they're all lined up against the barrier. I might as well can try to find mine. And luckily, when I was in high school, I used to write on my shoes, and I put like song lyrics on my shoes and stuff. And I was able to find my shoes because of that. Otherwise, I mean, there was probably, 100 pairs of Vans up there. I didn't know which ones were mine.
Right.
But I found my shoes, and yeah, the rest of the show was awesome. Smashing Pumpkins was great.
So this is 94, right?
1994, yeah.
So right before that, they had just released Siamese Dream.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I'm saying. They were huge.
Wow.
94 was such a good year. Like, look at all the albums that came out in 94. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Damn. Yeah. That's nuts, dude. That is crazy because wow. And they replaced Nirvana.
They replaced Nirvana. Yeah, Nirvana was supposed to be the headliner of that show in 94. And that's the whole reason I wanted to go, because I honestly, I never got a chance to see Nirvana live. And I was so into them from like the time that Nevermind came out. And I saw, what Nirvana did for me was, I didn't know what kind of music I wanted to listen to. I heard Metallica. I heard like all this metal stuff that I was like, I didn't really like it that much. And then there's like the top 40, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, that kind of stuff that I kind of was like, I didn't want to get into that. I wanted something edgy. I was trying to be different. I talked about this in my podcast with the middle school, and like I was trying to change how it was. And then I saw a video on MTV for Smells Like Teen Spirit. I was like, that's what I'm looking for right there. I knew it. That's what I want. So it kind of changed my life, and it changed my whole view on music. And to be able to go see them, my friend was like, my dad's buying tickets, let's go. And I was like, Nirvana's gonna play, hell yeah, let's go. And I was devastated, bro. I was devastated that they didn't play. But I had a good time.
What a treat you got. What a treat that you get, man.
Oh dude, that was such an amazing show, and I had such a great time as a high school kid, and just getting into that kind of music, or just loving that kind of that music. And all those bands I still love to this day. One honorable mention too. I just wanted to mention George Clinton and the P-Funk All-Stars also played that show.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was crazy.
I'm trying to see what Lollapalooza. I wonder if did the Cranberries play that show?
No, the Cranberries weren't there. It was the only other band. I think it was George Clinton and the P-Funk All-Stars, and then it was Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And I wasn't really a fan of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, so we kind of walked around during that set. But we watched all those, like Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day, Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys we kind of stood in the back for Beastie Boys, but they were so good. That was the time where they had their little punk rock set in between. So they did all their classics, and then they had a little punk rock set because they had just released that album. And
that punk album is fucking awesome, dude.
It is, yeah.
It is really good.
They did, they probably played like maybe 6 punk songs. They had like that song Tough Guy, and they played some of their early punk songs from before they were actually a rap group. And so I want to say they played like a 6 or 7 song punk rock set, and it was where they were actually playing the instruments. And dude, it was so badass.
Yeah, it's called Some Old Bullshit. It has a dog on the cover. I actually have this album, dude. It is so good. It is really good. If you like old school punk rock, it sounds like they recorded it off of a boombox. It really does sound horrible, but the music is awesome.
Well, yeah, they were a punk band before they were a rap group, and it was just really like, it was just such good stuff, man. So, but anyway, that's my concert. So
damn, dude, my number one. You had bangers, man. Just bangers after bangers.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear yours, bro.
So I don't know if I should do the honorable mentions first, but maybe I should, because then you might like think, oh fuck, dude, what's topping these out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had 8, and then I had 10, and then when you said the Fonda Center or theater, I thought I'm like, oh shit, I saw somebody there, and I saw a Norwegian singer called Sigrid. Mm-hmm. She was amazing. I saw her back in 2019, and like how small that venue is made it so intimate that like I was super close to the stage, and I looked over to my left and I saw this dad with his 2 daughters, and I'm like, this is so sweet. I'm like, this is exactly what music is about. It's just all the different types of ages and just people having fun. Like there was you didn't have to worry about fighting in a show like that because it was just pop music. It was awesome, dude. So yeah. I had to just throw that in there real quick because you had reminded me of that.
Yeah.
But
it's a good venue.
Okay, so at my number 10 is Slipknot and Knocked Loose at the Intuit Dome in LA this year, 2024.
That's what you just went to, yeah.
I just went to that, and Knocked Loose by far 2024 is my favorite group. Like they're probably going to be like at the very top of my Spotify or my Apple Rap. Like it's just continuous. Slipknot, very first time seeing them, and I'm glad I got to see them, even though I didn't get to see them with Joey Jordison. I got to see them with this new drummer, Eloy, because they sound exactly like their album, like to the T, dude. I was blown away by how good they sounded. And if they sounded like crap prior to this, that would even blow me away too. The fact that people are saying they sound better now than they did before is mind-blowing to me. So they were really good in a really good arena. If you guys ever go to the Intuit Dome in LA, it is the best stadium setup out here in LA, bar none. Absolutely.
That place is brand new, isn't it?
Yep, it just opened up this year. This year.
Nice.
So number 9 goes back to 2005, where I saw Ozfest at the Glen Helen Amphitheater, where
I like that venue.
Where Iron Maiden was like the headliner with Black Sabbath.
Wow.
Dude, so we had just got off the MTV show, The Battle for Ozfest, and the band that won was actually, their prize was performing on the next year's Ozfest. So we got tickets. They gave us tickets to go see this, and there's like 20 bands, but just check out this lineup, dude. The original Black Sabbath members, Iron Maiden, Mudvayne, Shadows Fall, Black Label Society, In Flames, Black Dahlia Murder, Trivium, Soilwork, The Haunted, Bury Your Dead, Arch Enemy. And Rob Zombie, Killswitch Engage, and As I Lay Dying.
Oof, I love Killswitch Engage. Damn, that's a lineup, bro.
And I'm telling you, people, they back then in Ozfest days, they played everybody in one day on one stage, and you only had like 15 people had 15 20-minute sets, and they were gone. Boom, next band was already up in like 10 minutes. They were performing. That's how quick Ozfest went. But you got to see all these groups.
How long did they play? How long did most of the bands play?
Just like the regular groups were like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes tops. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I remember what makes this show so awesome to me is at the very end, Iron Maiden was talking shit about the winners of Ozfest, and they're like, this isn't fair. This must be like an American thing where you gift people like you win these prizes to be famous musicians and don't work hard for like what we've done. And during that shit talking, Sharon Osbourne cut the power multiple times during their set.
Go Sharon.
So Iron Maiden's just rock it out, and you just and everything just cuts. 10 seconds later, go back on. I'm like, dude, this is getting bad. And then people started you started seeing bonfires just explode everywhere. But I remember seeing that. I remember seeing A Dozen Furies. That was the group that ended up winning the contest, and I went there with my singer JD at the time, or my buddy at the time, because I had quit the group at that point. And I go, dude, as much as we wanted to win this contest, these guys are so good live. I mean, and these guys were like jumping off amps, doing backflips and guitar spins, like multiple guitar spins, and performing like flawlessly. I'm like, yeah, dude, we would have had fun, but we would have been booed off. We probably would have been kicked off the tour off the first 5 shows, like easily. So, but yeah, I was like, dude, I can't believe I actually saw something like that. So that was my number 9. What goes into 8 would be I saw Ghost at the Kia Forum in 2023. And if you don't know who Ghost is, they're like kind of like your really old school classic rock, and they're really like religious painted, like black and white paint. They dress up in like Catholic robes and stuff, but their music is just really like old school classic rock. And what makes this event so important is that it's the first time in forever that a venue said you have to put your phones in a pouch and there's going to be no recording or nothing, because they were filming these 2 or 3 shows for a movie they were going to come out like I think it came out like almost a year later where they did this. Yeah, because it was September of last year and that came out just a few months ago. So it was a wonderful experience, dude. It was like being back in the early 90s where no one had cell phones. You were just there enjoying the show, or in the early 2000s and stuff. So the fact that we sat there for like an hour and almost 2 hours with everybody just being in the moment was so important to me. And I think every venue should do this. I don't think anybody should have cell phones from here on out for any type of experience.
I agree.
I'm going to put a stamp on that, dude.
Yeah, forever. I agree with that. Like, I think we talked about this where like sometimes I'll film a little bit here and there just to kind of get a little bit of it. But like, I try to be in the moment in concerts. And I think that's a good idea. Like just get rid of the cell phones and just be, like you said, go back to 1995 where you just actually watched the show and you weren't sitting there looking at a screen and watching the show. Because I hate that. I hate when people sit there and film the entire show. Watch the fucking show and have a good time. You know?
I try to go back to my number 1 and some of these lists or some of these events on this list, and I don't have a lot of photos. And I go, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. That means I was enjoying the moment.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was such a really good show because it just changed my perspective of shows. And it kind of makes me upset that now I go to shows and I see all these screens in front of me. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I hate that. I really do.
But the next one may surprise a lot of you ladies out there, if there are ladies listening to this podcast. But at number 7 comes Miss Taylor Swift.
I'm sorry.
Well, as you're going, most people are like, what?
Yeah.
No way. Number 7, I got to see her on the Eras tour too. The biggest grossing tour of all time, shattering Madonna's last biggest tour that grossed close to $1 billion. Taylor just whopped all over that. And I got to see the very first show. I was the opener show in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
It was
nice.
So as much as people may or may not like her, she is an amazing performer. And I've talked about her in previous podcasts where she's the epitome of what music is about. She really is. She is so in tune with her fans that she plants Easter eggs years in advance. This is crazy, dude. Like, I come home, I'm telling you, dude, the year that this Eras tour dropped, my wife could not fucking shut up about it, dude. I would come home every day and she's like, check this out. Look what they're saying on TikTok now. Now they're saying that this is going to drop because this happened like 10,000 years ago. And then she correlated with something that happened in her life 2 weeks ago. And it's like, and then they'll bring like a puzzle of her picture that looks just like what they're talking about. It's crazy, dude. So,
wow.
Yeah, and it was 70,000 people that filled up the State Farm Stadium. This is where the Arizona Cardinals play. 70,000 people, dude, and not one seat was empty.
Wow.
Not one. It was incredible, dude. Like, I reflect on some of these pictures because I have a shit ton of pictures with these because I didn't know a lot of the lyrics. And I feel that if you weren't a day one Taylor Swift fan, it's no point in becoming a fan now because you're so far behind in all the culture right now that if someone were to talk to you about it, your head would explode. It truly would.
Right.
Because each album has like a long lore and history behind it. Trust me, dude, I had to learn all this, and each album is like really disgusting. It really is. And I have my favorites because they'll be like, I'm a this person, or like they'll say the album like I'm a Red girl, or I'm a Reputation girl, and I'll say that because Reputation is my favorite album. But dude, she went through each one of her albums and each set changed. It was incredible, dude. Like I was just engulfed in the show. But not knowing any of her lyrics, it kind of like knocks down the concert a couple notches because I'm just sitting there and just watching people or hearing people scream. Like the decibels in there, dude. Like my ears were shot for like a week, dude, and I wasn't doing any screaming. It was just everybody yelling around me.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a different fandom.
Yeah, it is.
So, okay. So getting into my number 6, who's going to beat Taylor Swift? This group, Panic at the Disco. I saw them at the Crypto Arena, which was formerly known as, rest in peace, the Staples Center.
Yeah, crypto
bullshit, dude.
I can't. It's always going to be Staples, man. It's always going to be Staples.
Crypto, it's like crypto.com arena. It's like they have the .com in it, dude. Like, really?
Yeah, exactly. It's stupid.
But I saw them at the Staples Center before they switched over because I think they got bought out like in 2022 or something like that.
Yeah.
So this was 2018 when they were just like at the height. I mean, they were already popular, but their album, I forget. It was one of their last albums that they dropped. They just went into ultimate stardom, and I got to see them with my daughter, which was one of her favorite groups growing up. And dude, they were so good, and I'm glad I got to see them before all this cancel culture really got into effect, because that's why you don't hear Panic at the Disco anymore. Their last album flopped. The lead singer was going through all this cancellation issues on the internet. So he's like, I'm going to have a kid. I'm deuces. I don't want to deal with any of this shit. So it's been like 2 years since you've heard, 2 or 3 years since you've heard about them. And what makes this show like really important, because I hear that they're coming back in 2025 at the When We Are Young festival.
Yeah.
And the lineup on that festival is like, okay, I'm just going to say it. I know none of the important people in my life are going to listen to this. I got tickets for When We Are Young 2025, people.
What the fuck?
Yep. I fucking did it, people. I had to do it because I saw the lineup, and Panic at the Disco is one of my favorite bands of all time, and they're playing their first album in its entirety. So I'm like, okay, you guys already have me set with that. And then I get to see Blink 182 playing Enema of the State and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket in its entirety. I'm like, what? And then there's going to be Weezer, The Offspring. I get to see Knocked Loose again. Kubla Khan, Yellow Card, Simple Plan, Story of the Year.
Story of the Year.
Oh, dude. I mean, so I had to do it. So Panic at the Disco is one of my favorite groups. I did see them once, so I had to get these because everything's going to be first time. And my daughter's going to be with me. I'm like, dude, you get to see Blink 182 with me for the first time as well. Isn't that crazy?
That's great. Yeah,
so I had to do it. Bro.
I haven't got the tickets yet, but I'm going.
Yeah, I had to. I told my lady I'm gonna create a couple OnlyFans, some Feet Finder.
I'll subscribe, bro. I'll help you get to When We Were Young.
We'll do it together, man. We'll both subscribe to each other. Just swap money out.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah. So I got to go see Panic, and they were really good. So that's what really makes this important to me, because I get to see them again years down the road, and they're going to come back with so much vengeance. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see them. Yeah,
my daughter was talking about that too. She's like, "Oh, I want to see Panic at the Disco so bad," and so that's why I have to go. She likes them a lot too. I've never been a huge fan, but I do appreciate their music, and my daughter loves them. So I guess I'll be seeing you there, dude.
Yeah, dude, I'm super stoked. I really hope you get tickets, man, because I heard the first day was already sold out, like within like an hour.
There's always a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, getting into my top five. Sorry, everybody, that I kept you so long with this, but I'll jam through these. At number five, I saw Def Leppard or Journey open up for Def Leppard at the Petco Stadium in San Diego in 2018.
Nice.
Yeah. So I saw Panic at the Disco and Def Leppard and Journey all in the same year. And first off, if you've never been to Petco Stadium, you're very elevated if you're higher than just the floor seats. You're like suspended. It almost seems like you're going to fall off your seat into the next person down below, which makes it really fun. And I've never seen Def Leppard or Journey. I was a big Journey fan, and I just started getting into Def Leppard maybe like 4 or 5 months before we saw them. My lady kind of introduced me to their music and like, you should listen to these and these, just know these songs so you're not just like, bobbing, to nothing. You don't know what the hell you're doing. So by the time we got there, I think even Cheap Trick opened up in that group too, or in that show. So I got to see some classic groups. So Journey's going down. Obviously, everybody knows that Steve Perry's not the original singer. They hired a YouTube singer, and he is Arnold. The guy's amazing. Like, I'd rather see a healthy singer than a weathered down singer, just so he's there. So Journey it's like putting on a CD. They sounded exactly the same. And then Def Leppard closed the show, and I hope people don't think I'm making fun of the drummer because he's missing an arm, but since they don't want you to steal footage off the big like TV images, so they like kind of delay the sound in a sec, like a second or whatever. The drummer is off beat with his one hand, and it bothered me through the entire show. And because he uses his foot as a snare. And then obviously like his right hand is like the cymbals and stuff like that, but everything's off a beat. And on top of it, in my wallet, I happen to have stored some acid from whenever I had it. I just had it in my wallet, and me and my lady decided to do it during Cheap Trick before Journey and Def Leppard. So with the elevated seats, the off sounding of the drummer, and being the first time seeing all this, it was the most craziest fun experience I've ever had in San Diego. It was so much fun. And I got to see Def Leppard again with Motley Crue opening up, and it just wasn't the same. And you're probably like, you probably need acid. I'm like, no, I don't. It's just,
it makes it
I
different.
don't. Yeah, it makes it different, but Motley Crue is just not my cup of tea. The fact that I got Def Leppard and Journey together, that's like the dairy soft serve ice cream machine all at once. That's when you mix the vanilla and the chocolate together, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I was thankful to see that, and it was cool. And we were right down the street at our hotel, so our Uber picked us up. And so I wasn't like, you're like, did you drive? I'm like, no, no, I didn't. And had someone else look at us all freaked out. But my number 4 was something kind of like with one of your picks with your daughter. It means a lot to me too, because I had to really grind to make this vacation and trip happen. I took my daughter to San Francisco in 2018. Look at all these shows I saw in 2018, man. I was a savage.
Damn.
I took my daughter to go see A Day to Remember, Fallen in Reverse, Papa Roach, and I think it was Dillinger Escape Plan that opened at the Armory in San Francisco. Dude, it was so much fun because besides the show, I got to take my daughter for the first time in San Francisco, and then I got to take her to like Alcatraz, which was the fact that shit fucking even exists. Like, they just like, we're going to put a prison here and just have people freeze to death. All these hardened criminals just freeze to death in these cold ass ice block cells. And the fact that it wouldn't have closed down if those guys didn't escape. Like, that was torture. That's like, you're torturing people at one point. Like, even the guards that were working there had to deal with this stuff. You couldn't be in enough clothing to keep you warm enough with all that ocean air, just keeping that shit like an ice box. It was crazy. So I took her there to see that. But A Day to Remember was not good. I remember my daughter's like, we need to get out of here. Falling in
Really?
Reverse was like the singer just had no energy. His voice, he was like constantly having the crowd sing. So he would sing a few lyrics, give it to the crowd. And after like 5 songs, my daughter's like, I came here to see these guys and I want to go.
I'm not the singer. I want to hear you sing. You know?
Yeah.
I hate that shit.
But dude, Falling in Reverse was great. But
Yeah.
Papa Roach destroyed.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dude,
I love
they
Papa
were
Roach.
so incredible, man. And my daughter to this day, she must have been, not even 10 years, probably like 8 to 10 years old. And she still remembers that show. She's like, Papa Roach was so good.
Yeah, they're still killing it, bro. I love Papa Roach.
Yeah. So I was thankful to see that. Even before, because I guess like I feel like all these old or these new metal groups back where we were growing up are now getting like a resurgence all of a sudden.
Definitely. Yeah,
and I have
that's
no
good.
idea where it's coming from, like I don't know why Papa Roach is more important now. Same thing with, Limp Bizkit, but they are, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the kids these days are appreciating it as much as we did, because a lot of the newer bands are shit. So, I mean, there's only a handful of good new bands. So they're going back to the bands from the early 2000s because they were so damn good. That's all I can think, because I know my daughter does the same thing. She loves all these bands that are from 1998 to like 2005, and that was like a height of this, like, you want to call it new metal or you want to call it whatever it is, but it was some good fucking metal bands at that time, good rock bands, good metal bands at that time. So maybe they're just appreciating it like we did.
Hey Dad, I'm listening to this classic rock album called Nirvana. It's like,
I was in high school when that came out. Thanks.
Right? It's not classic rock.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Yeah.
That was when it used to be called alternative.
It was
rock.
Alternative then. Yes. Alternative to what?
And the
crap
categories in music have changed all of a sudden, dude, and nothing makes sense to me anymore.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Alternative music isn't like what we grew up. I'm like, how come it's not rocking? It's like really pussy music. My lady's like, I don't know.
It really is.
But okay, I got 3 more.
Okay.
Number 3 is the 1975 at the Hollywood Bowl in LA in 2023. This was one of Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends that she wrote continuously about, but he's amazing. He's sexy. He's a great singer. I love the 1975. Everything about their stage presence, they had like a multiple story like tier set up. It almost looked like a mousetrap setup, dude, where all these different areas where the musicians can play. They were so good, dude. I cannot recommend the 1975 enough. It's like really cool, like rock indie music, and the singer is just godlike. Oh, he's perfect.
I have never heard them.
Whew. Matt Healy? No, I say Hefty because that's the singer for Trivium, and he's sexy too. But Matt Healy, yeah, they're so good, dude. The 1975, highly recommend them.
I'm gonna check them out, dude.
Okay, number 2, I saw Odessa. They are an EDM, kind of like really melodic, EDM group. I saw them in LA Historic Park in 2019, and it was their finale show, and they did it outside in LA. It was crazy. Like, it was completely open besides like their stage, and I must have been maybe like 20 yards away from them to the stage. Not even that, probably 10 yards. To this day, I'll see clips of the videos I took, like the one time that I'm appreciating the shit that I have on my phone of shows. and I'll cry. I will cry because it was such a great show. And I just recently took my daughter to see Odessa at the BMO Stadium in LA this year. And because she was supposed to be at that show and she just didn't go. She just couldn't make it. So the fact that I took her to this show was great. But back then, their finale show, everybody go see a finale show. It's way different from seeing like in between or whatever, because as an artist, as you tour, everything gets tighter and you start changing things up where you can fit a little bit more in because everything's so tight. So by the finale, the show is probably gonna be completely changed where you're getting like a whole new show, something so spectacular that everybody else prior to that will not see. So I try, if I see like 5 shows a year, at least 2 of them is going to be a finale show, just because it's way different. And that show, they had all their last 10 minutes, they were just exploding fireworks everywhere, and there was like apartments and shit right behind them, behind this park, and they're like, I can't sleep. Like, what the fuck? There was like literally a street, so like where their stage was, there was like a street above it. There was people like standing and like getting a free concert, but right above that was all these apartments and stuff. So I'm sure these people at 10 o'clock was like, oh my god, please, I need to go. I got to wake up at 2 a.m. to work a 12-hour shift. But it was incredible. They were great. And they're another like melodic group that I really recommend because, a lot of music, this is like the 1975, and Odessa is kind of like your ambiance music that you can leave in the back, make you feel good, and it can just keep repeating and you won't get tired of it. Mm-hmm. So they were good. Okay, number 1 is actually something that we've just recently talked about.
Okay.
Is When We Are Young, 2022. I went to go see the very first When We Are Young.
Damn.
Dude, that's when My Chemical Romance was the opener.
Yeah.
Paramore, AFI, The Used. First off, The Used, incredible live. Like, they are so, that's one of the groups that I will definitely go see again. No problem. Like, hands down, they were so great. And A Day to Remember was there, and they redeemed themselves because they were awesome. The singer sang all of his songs. He had energy, and I was like, here we go. Bam, redemption. They were great. I saw Story of the Year. They were. I
fucking love Story of the Year, bro. I have not seen them live. We keep talking about them on this podcast. I'm like, I fucking love them, dude, so much. And that's great. I really want to go see them at the next one. So we definitely got. That's one band I would just. Because of them, I will go because I have not seen them yet.
Dude, I know last year they had Green Day opening and Blink 182, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of push for it. But this first, When We Were Young,
yeah,
yeah,
that lineup is. Crazy.
I saw Hawthorne Heights, and they were. I wasn't a big Hawthorne Heights fan at all, but live.
Yeah,
it's amazing how everybody just started singing the one song that everybody knows, and then you kind of just get sucked in. You're like, I know this shit too. Yeah. This is sweet.
that's exactly what I did. My daughter said she was going to see them. I was like, who? I can't remember them too. And then the one song, I was like, okay, yes, I know this band. I remember them. Yeah,
yeah. I saw like these are bands that all the bands that I saw. So I watched My Chemical Romance, Paramore, The Used.
Yeah,
I watched. A Day to Remember, Dance Gavin Dance. What else? This is all just in one day. I had to like map everything out. I saw Paris, Seosin, Atreyu, Story of the Year, Hawthorne Heights, and then I think there's maybe like 2 more in between that. Yeah, dude. Oh, I also saw, what's that fucking group? I can't find them. All American Rejects. I saw them, and nice. I saw Dance Gavin Dance. So, dude, you get your money's worth for sure. Like, if you can plan it out, like if you get the set list and then you map how you want things to plan out, like my wife saw just as many groups as I did because I'm a fat piece of shit and my feet were hurting. And she's like, I'm going to keep walking. You guys just sit there like losers. And I did. And it was fun. But yeah, people, when you get these like high priced festivals, just really kind of like break it down by how many groups you're seeing and like the ratio of what they charge per ticket price. If there's 20 something groups, you've already paid for your money within 5.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
And I told my daughter, I said, I'm not paying for material things anymore for you. It's all about, I'm paying for memories. Like, we will do stuff that's, if something's going to cost us money, it's going to be like an event, or we're going to go on vacation or something. None of these like, can you give me a couple pair of Nikes and, some hats and then like a really cool, like, custom or jacket or whatever. Like, that phase is over. And I told her that. This was like 2 years ago. I was like, this is over. Like, I want to take you to enjoy stuff because you're becoming an adult soon where you're not going to be able to do this stuff, and you're not going to, unless you move with me to Montana, like, you're not going to experience this stuff anymore. So suck it up, enjoy it, take it for what it's worth, because when you're an adult, life smacks you really hard in the face, yo.
It does.
where you're like, oh, I wish I can go see a concert, this badass festival with my dad, which they're going to go see, and I can't because, I'm working and being an adult.
Yeah.
Which my daughter's like so excited about. She's like rushing to being an adult. I'm like, don't. Like, just really don't. It sucks. It truly does suck. It's not great. Like, it's you kids that make it fun.
Yeah.
So that's my top 11. Sorry.
Damn, I should have done more.
But dude, like, I just couldn't, like,
yeah, you couldn't.
It was really difficult, man, because then I just kept thinking. I mean, and there's shows. I mean, I remember seeing the Aquabats when Travis Barker was their drummer. I'm like, and I didn't even mention that at all. And that's something like, wow, Travis Barker is just as big in the music industry now than any of these groups that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun list, dude. And I don't know what the next one's going to be. I hope, we'll figure that out. But this one was really fun because it just made me go down memory lane. It's like, man, I've seen I've been really blessed to see a lot of great groups.
Yeah, same here, dude. Same here. I was thinking and I cut off about 3 or 4 of them. So if I would have known, I would have done the top 11 list too. But
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I just cut it to top 5, and I think my list was amazing. I've been blessed with being able to see a lot of good bands and go to a lot of punk shows. Some I remember, some I don't because I was intoxicated and just in the pit the whole time. But there's a few that I actually remember, actually watching and loving, the music and actually appreciating it, especially when I was in bands. I was just like watching these guys do it. I was like, I got to get good like them. I want to eventually be doing that. And, having the pleasure to actually be able to perform, in front of decent sized groups. It was, it's hard.
Performing in front of people's hard,
It really is.
It really is.
It really is. And wait till you see some of the footage that I found. So I still have more that I'm going to put out. So
I don't know if you know, but with my group that I was in 2003, I don't know if you know, I wore like a costume and a mask. Did you know that?
Yeah. I've seen pictures that you posted of that or videos.
So the main reasons why I wore a mask is because I had bad stage fright and I made faces while I played. I play guitar, so I wore a mask so no one looked at me. Or even knew who I was. So it's really difficult to play in front of people. It's like not like talking in front of, like having like an open mic or stuff like that. It's really, really hard and really nerve-wracking because anything can possibly happen. And if you're not used to breaking a string live and getting things fixed up or getting a new guitar, or if your pedal goes out, or the cable comes out of your pedal, like you're not equipped for that at the very beginning. Like I said, at the very beginning of the tour, like you have your show, and by the end of your tour, you're like polished. You're spit shine polished. So
and
these guys have been doing it for like 30 years, dude. Like 40 years.
Yeah.
Like this is crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've heard people that have been doing it that long that actually still get stage fright. I'm like, wow, that's crazy because, the only way I could get through my stage fright was a few beers. And I used to, like, when I would play drums or when I would play guitar, I would like bite my lip, and I don't know why I would do that. So I would always like chew gum. That was a way to get out of that, because every time you see any kind of footage of me playing, I'm always chewing a lot of gum because like I would bite the shit out of my lips while I was playing guitar. And so I look stupid too. I should have just wore a mask, but I really, it's really tough. Like I would get so nervous when we were going to play live, and there's times where we played in front of, decent group of people, and I'm like, holy shit. And I'd have to pound a few beers. That's the only way I could do it, is get a little intoxicated, and I'd feel better. So that was it. I mean, every show I think I played, I was a little intoxicated. So yeah.
I think my first really big show, I played like a little small show with my group. I mean, we did shows, like I played like at your house, and we did like talent shows and stuff like that. But I did a little small show with my group in 2000 at CSUN in Northridge. That was kind of cool. There was like 100 people there. But our first big show was at the Whiskey. Yeah, at the Whiskey. A sold out show where Motor Grader, we opened up for Motor Grader. And I don't know if people remember what Motor Grader was, but they had a really big hit song for the, I'm trying to think, it's the Saw soundtrack. Let me see. And Motor Grader, it comes from the bass player. He has like a makeshift bass where the strings are like, if you were to like try to make a like touch your pointer finger to your thumb, that's the size of his bass strings, and he would play bass on this makeshift bass and hit the strings with a drumstick. That's how big they were, and it was called the motor grader. So motor grader, here we go. They were on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. That's how they got big, because they got their song put on that, and it was see if you remember it. I have it put up, and I'll let you guys go real quick. And by the way, these guys were pieces of shit. They treated us like shit, and some useless information behind this fucking shitty group. The singer is actually the singer for Five Finger Death Punch now.
Really?
Yeah, this is him. Ivan Moody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit to us. So they were a big group that had like maybe 5 to 6, maybe 7 members in their group, and the Whiskey has a really small stage.
Yeah.
So they didn't break down any of their gear, and they made us play in front of all their shit. And he's like, we're not moving it. Fuck you guys. You guys are opening up for us. That's what he said to us. He's like, you're our opener. Like, you can either open up or you can leave. I'm like, all right, fuck. Well, I guess we're playing on this, 2-foot space, behind and in front of us with each member. And there was like a drummer, and it was a guitar player, bass player, and singer.
That's ridiculous, bro. That's so stupid. Like, fuck that guy, dude.
Yeah. So when I hear like Five Finger Death Punch, I'm like, fuck that guy, fuck that group, fuck Motor Grader. Like,
yeah,
them,
they
dude.
suck
like,
anyway. Fuck Five Finger Death Punch. They're
yeah, they do
trash.
suck.
They're fucking
like, oh, you guys
horrible.
got popular by covering a song. Make up your own shit.
Yeah,
you losers.
fucking idiots. That makes me hate him more. Thank you for telling me that story. I already hated him. Now I hate him even more. Fuck that guy.
Some useless information for y'all.
Nice.
Everybody, thank you guys so much for sticking around. These podcasts get longer and longer each and every time we do it, but that just means that we're enjoying it, and hopefully we're giving you guys some enjoyable information as well. Dude, I love talking to you too, so don't think that you're getting away with that, man. This is a pleasure to do this with you, bud.
Yeah, definitely. It's so much fun, bro. I love it.
So everybody, please, I think, just letting you know, we have been in talks about making this its own entity, but we do, like I said, want to bring a really good product to you, maybe something with some visuals as well.
Definitely.
But yeah.
Definitely.
But you guys deserve that. We deserve that. And we're having fun with it. And coming close to a 2-hour podcast right now, I think it's time to do that. So,
yeah.
But until then, go follow the Mind of Dick podcast, which is Dick Podcast. And you can follow my podcast at the Conference Call Podcast on pretty much all the major podcast platforms out there, like your Spotify's and Apple Music. So thank you guys all for listening. Truly appreciate it. And until next time, keep positive and stay classy. Peace.
Peace.